No matter your opinion on X and Y, it's undeniable that the games had so much missed potential, be it areas that go nowhere, versions of Pokemon relegated to other games, or, the focus of this video, the lack of a competent rematch team for the Gym Leaders or Elite Four. In this video, I'm going to organise a hypothetical rematch team for them that we're still probably 5 or 10 years away from actually getting with Gen 6 remakes. To set a few ground rules to narrow it down a bit. 1. All Pokemon must be part of the Kalos Dex. It's already the biggest regional Pokedex if you choose to class the DLC areas as separate from the Galar Dex, so it's not as if choices are limited, and it simply makes things easier for me. In other words, not exactly what you'd bring for the Pokemon World Tournament, but still worthy of being a post-game match. 2. Each team must have a Mega. Not only is it Gen 6's main gimmick, but not having one is just asking to be put at a disadvantage. With the previous rule, they must also be a Mega introduced in X and Y, with one exception. 3. The choices ought to be on brand for the character, be it fitting their hobbies or general skill. Simply put, you're not going to be seeing anything as surprising as Falconer having a Lugia. With the on-brand rule, we also can't replace any of their pre-existing team as debilitating as things such as Viola's entire 2-slot in-game team are, and any Pokemon they've displayed in other mediums such as the anime or manga are automatic shoo-ins, unless they break Rule 1, so sorry Clement, but no Luxray for you. 4. No multiples for choices on teams. If one trainer is using that Pokemon, it's not available unless they both use the Pokemon in-game. That said, we start with Viola. Leaving aside the 2 pieces of dead weight she has to carry, there's a few options for OK bug types. Fitting with her career as a photographer, I'd give her Crustle and Ninjask. A Crustle coming out of its shell or a fast Ninjask would obviously be worth a few picks. Also, Crustle's rock typing helps stop flying types from being as much of a threat to her team, and Ninjask would perform a very effective strategy some may have seen in singles of substitute to survive despite its frailty, double team to perhaps dodge a few hits, and a baton pass to give it speed boost to whoever it switches out with. I'd then give her Scolipede as the poison typing is something the team could certainly use. Plus it's fairly physically bulky for a bug type with a good choice of abilities with Poison Point and Speed Boost. For her Mega, there are 3 bug types, one of which another trainer already has, and another isn't exactly aesthetically pleasing for a photo album. So we have Mega Heracross. Its skill link to make a usually weak move such as Pin Missile incredibly powerful is also fitting for the introductory gym leader with arguably the worst defensive type in the game, and shown bugs aren't always easy to squash. Next is Grant. Being someone whose in-game team is the regional fossils, Relicanth makes sense for how long the species has been around, and him being able to catch one just by walking a couple of minutes to the beach. Before that though, I'd have Carbink be the first one out as Stealth Rock setter, with its hidden ability Sturdy to make sure it survives long enough to set them up, as well as perhaps a light screen while it's at it. The 5th spot goes to Tyranitar. As one man once said, when it comes to tiering the rock types, there's Tyranitar, and then below that there's everything else. But also Grant's hobby of rock climbing would make conquering and taming the one who can destroy the mountains he climbs an expert power move. The choice of Mega is obvious with him rounding out the fossil squad with Mega Aerodactyl. Karina having her Mega Lucario separate from her gym battle already makes organising her team one of the easier ones to build. One thing I like about her design and canon team, much like B, her team covers many different types of martial arts with Mienshao using Gonfu and whip fighting techniques, Machamp punching lot, Hawlucha being the Lucha Libre bird, and Mega Lucario focusing on both spiritual martial arts principles as well as some Egyptian boxing elements, with a side of staff wielding if it has Bone Rush. For that reason of variety, I'd give the other 2 spots to Pangoro and Gallade. Pangoro has a more unrefined brawler attitude to separate it from Lucario's boxing a bit, and if a fairy is thinking of sweeping, a priority bullet punch may ruin its day depending on their frailty. Gallade not only helps vary the team composition by resisting psychics, but its sword fighting style adds to the mixed styles theme of Karina's team. Ramos is in an unfortunate position as we've seen many more Pokemon he has access to in the anime, and they don't really help out with Grass's poor defensive typing. I'd give him Blossom rather than Vileplume so that he doesn't have two Grass Poison combos, plus it could serve as a potential annoyance if Tita Dance was bred onto it, and his Exeggutor as the Psychic typing certainly gives it more going for it than most of his team. The Mega isn't even a choice, with Mega Venusaur being the only Grass Mega in X and Y, as well as Thick Fat helping the team out defensively. It's disappointing when there's a few fairly good Kalos Grass types you could otherwise choose from, but I guess that's the difference between gym leaders that hone their skills with Grass types, and an old man who's let his field get too outfanned. The Pokemon Adventures manga makes narrowing down the other half of Clement's team easy. I'd put in Raichu for being a good mixed attacker, as well as having okay coverage with Grass Knot, Stunfisk for having a few water moves that could deal with ground types attempting to solo the team, and give Ampharos the Mega rather than Manectric for having better defenses, special attack, and better coverage. Plus its whole Power Ring gimmick with things like lighthouses work well for the ace of the gym leader in what's essentially Pokemon's Eiffel Tower. The anime already gave Valerie a Spritzy, so Aromatisse gets in automatically. Having a Mawile also means there's no debate about the Mega. For the remaining two spots, I'd go with Azumarill for being bulky and strong with huge power, as well as fitting with the spotlight of Gen 6 introducing the Fairy typing by being one of the return Pokemon of it added to theirs. And then give the remaining spot to Florges for being a great special wall and one of Kalos's most notable fairies. Olympia being said to be able to see the future, and her cosmic theme makes Gothitelle a good fit with its Pokédex entries. Malamar for taking away most of the weaknesses you'd be thinking of hitting a Psychic type with, unless you actually were wild enough to bring a Bug type to deal with the team. And Mega Alakazam seems to be the best option for the last spot, with it being one of the most notable faces of the Psychic type, in no small part for being the fast special attacker. The anime already made the decision of what Wulfric's Mega will be. For the remaining three spots, two of them are found in the Frost Cavern like most of his team, with Beartic for the use Slush Rush can bring, as well as generally fitting Wulfric's aesthetic, and Jinx for providing a special attacking presence the team is lacking. Finally, there's Mamoswine, as not only does this bulky mammoth fit with Wulfric's design, but nothing fits as a better double take to such common doubts on the Ice type's usage, Wulfric even doubts himself, than one of the Ice types to have won a major real-life tournament. So, that's the gym leaders dealt with. Now on to the Elite Four. Three of them thankfully only have one spot to fill, with the Mega Evolution special giving Malva a Mega Houndoom, Seabold a Mega Blastoise, and Wixstrom a Mega Scizor. For the last slot of Malva's team, she has a Delphox in the Adventures manga, which makes things easy for us. With water being the most abundant type, Seabold is spoiled for choice. Currently though, a fast electric special attacker is the bane of his team's existence, so it needs a bit more of a defensive core. Though Ludicolo was a tempting choice, Wash Rotom is undeniably the better one, plus it serves as secondary option of cleaning this chef's many dishes after a full banquet. For Wixstrom, the Pokemon Journeys anime added Escavalier to his team. For the last spot, despite its one fatal flaw, Bishop seems the most fitting choice for a knight, and provides more coverage than alternate choices such as Aggron could. Finally, there's Drasna. She is the exception to the only XY Megas rule due to the Journeys anime having her Altaria Mega evolve. Now, with Drasna having what can only be described as the diet version of what you'd expect of an Elite Four Dragon Trainer, and her family originating from Sinnoh, why doesn't she have a Garchomp to give her team that kind of strength you'd expect for her position?
It does not make sense!
Let's fix that. With most of the other strong dragons having quad weaknesses and Garchomp having made Flygon irrelevant, the best choice may be Kindra. It's a fairly balanced choice with a few good coverage moves such as Flash Cannon and Ice Beam. So, there you go. A decent enough improvement on the teams of the Kalos League. Hopefully we won't have to wait a decade for Game Freak to actually provide similar ones to us all. If you have your own alternate idea for these teams, simply write it in the comments.